In brightest day, in blackest night, all other podcasts tremble in fright. Losers cower before the power. Oranges lust and blues you can trust. Indigos feel and white ones heal. Yellow scare and green ones dare. That sapphire love and black hands glove will rock your foundation without hesitation. Chad and Mart face evil's might. Respect their power, for they'll make you see the
light. Hi, everybody. I'm Chad Bokelman.
I'm Mark Marble.
This is the LanternCast.
Episode 388.
That's right. We are talking Far Sector, issue number 3. But before we do, we have some Star Wars-related stuff to get into. So,
I
turn you loose.
I should just sit here and laugh for like for the next 5 minutes. Use your imagination. It was like, now the interesting thing is when you sent me this, when you messaged me last week. Obviously, I thought at the time, because no, I had not watched that video. I had thought this was just another rehashing of the stuff that had been out there for like a week regarding the Obi-Wan series when there were rumors back and forth that there might be a delay, but at the time, a lot of the focal point of discussion was about how Lucasfilm was kind of, because I even made a comment to Jim about it, and I even messaged Jim about it like a week or so before, saying like this is like so typical about Lucasfilm that it's something that should have been a movie to start with that ended up becoming a TV show. It was now being rumored that they were going to make Obi-Wan a movie again, since they really didn't, on the surface, the justification for this was going to be, well, they really don't know what the hell they're, no pun intended, because we kind of know this is true generally speaking, but they don't know what the hell they're doing as far as what's coming next, because obviously the Benioff and Weiss thing, went down the toilet, so that they don't necessarily they didn't have something slam dunk ready to go in a couple of years, so instead of launching into a trilogy or a series of movies, that they might just go back and do a one-off movie, and so that was what some of the talk, that's what some of the scuttlebutt was a few weeks ago about if there was going to be a delay in Obi-Wan, it was because they just didn't know which direction they wanted to go in. But clearly at the end of last week, Thursday or so, now this became a full-born, typical Star Wars Kathleen Kennedy problem, in which now the Obi-Wan series is not canceled. I don't think this project will ever be canceled. I think it will exist in some way, shape, or form at some point, no matter what. But it's being delayed till next year. The scripts, which Kathleen Kennedy infamously came out and told us at D23 were all completed. Now we're kind of being told that they were like only around two of these scripts that actually were finished, and that she wasn't happy with them. Part of the reason, rumor is that they too much mirrored with the Mandalorian concept, about Obi-Wan protecting or looking out for Luke the way Mandalorian was looking out for the child, which again is another reason why, hey, you do the project you should have done effing years ago. If you had just done that, then there wouldn't have been a problem. Then you could have come up with a different story for the Mandalorian. Because given the two choices, which one makes more sense? Since we know Obi-Wan's entire role was to look out for Luke, and that's the reason why he was hiding out on Tatooine, was to keep an eye on Luke. So that would be a natural story if you're going to have someone overlooking a child. That would have been the one to go to instead of having to change it potentially, because now we have the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. And so, at best case scenario, the Obi-Wan series is not going to start filming till next year, and this just turns out to be, on the surface, this is just, it's really like, what does Kathleen Kennedy have to do to lose her job? I mean, is there anything she could do? I mean, can videos come out of her sacrificing babies and hailing Satan or something? Would that even get her fired at this point? Because this is a serious track record of incompetence when you go. Everybody, once in a while you have creative differences with people. But my God, it's like you can count usually I think on like one hand, not forget about one hand, like one or two fingers max in all the Star Wars projects that she's been had her hand in which there has not been creative differences or problems. There's been one way or the other. I mean, the Force Awakens. I believe it was Michael Arendt who was hired to write the script, who was telling them, well, if we're going to do this right, this needs to basically we need to take our time and do this. We need to plan this out. This is going to take maybe like 3+ years to do if you want to do this right. Plus his reputation as a writer was that he was methodical. So if you want to if the most important thing to you is getting your movie out like within a couple of years, that's probably not the guy you hire to begin with. So that's kind of like number one, and that's how Kasdan and Abrams ended up working on the script. The one time she doesn't do it is with Rian Johnson, which is the most ironic thing of all of this. The one time she just lets the creator do anything he or she wants to do, regardless of the consequences, and we look what happened. Rogue One turned out okay, but Rogue One went through a lot of reshoots and restructuring and reconstructing, even if you want to give the benefit of the doubt that was more like Iger and Horn and the higher ups at Disney not liking the tone. Either way, the point was there was a problem with that movie. We know Solo was a complete disaster because of Lord Miller getting fired and having to reshoot like three quarters of the movie. And then there's all the rumors surrounding everything around the rise of Skywalker and the different and how this movie came to be, and there's so many different stories about what was and what wasn't, and then of course we have Benioff and Weiss leaving, and now you have this cluster. It's like, plus it's the decision making process. The Obi-Wan movie, I said this then, I will always say, if this wasn't going to be the first anthology / spin-off movie you did, it should have been the second one. Rogue One was a gamble. It paid off, but it was a gamble because it's a story nobody thought they wanted to or needed to see until the movie came out, and it's like, I'm kind of glad I saw that story. I know what happened. But nobody was clamoring for that story. Other than a Darth Vader movie, an Obi-Wan movie was about the biggest slam dunk they could have come up with. And the fact that here we are, now is going to be a bare minimum of 6 years or close to 6 years since The Force Awakens, and if we even get this project, in that time frame, and we still haven't had the Obi-Wan thing, but they could do a Solo movie that nobody wanted to see, and they could give us a Rise of the Last Jedi the way it was that nobody wanted to see, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, it's like Kathleen, the buck stops here. She runs Lucasfilm. If you and I had that much of a track record of screwing up or hiring the wrong people, because that's part of the job. You're hiring these people. So if you're hiring people who either have conflicting Colin Trevorrow, I forgot to mention him. That's another creative difference thing between her and somebody that she hired. It's like obviously there's a disconnect in that she's hiring the wrong people, not because her vision is necessarily wrong, though we could make the case that she's kind of proven it might be, or the other people's vision is right. The fact is she's hiring people that have conflicting views and visions than her, or else they wouldn't be clashing all the time. And that's part of the job, and that's part of it. So this is just so frustrating to me because of how important Obi-Wan is, and how you have an actor who's been basically dying to come back and play this role, and has never made any qualms about the fact that he was always willing to come back and play this role, even before it was so slam dunk that he was, which probably, as we know from D23, was probably going all the way back to when they did Force Awakens, that it probably was a slam dunk that Ewan McGregor was coming back at some point. But still, ever since after Revenge of the Sith, I don't think there was any doubt he would come back. He was happy overall with the Star Wars experience. And here we are, and now we got to muddle through yet another clusterfuck, captained by Kathleen Kennedy. And the fact is, you have to give credit where credit's due. The fact that to run a franchise like Star Wars, which had the mantra and the appearance of invincibility, and run it into the ground as much as they've done. And they have run it into the ground. Even look at the Rise of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker has struggled to make $1 billion, when there's no doubt if this movie had not taken the hits, this should have been doing Endgame-like business. to wrap up this 9-movie cycle, this second trilogy, especially after Force Awakens was so popular. This should have been doing Endgame-like business. This movie is not going, domestically, is not going to make more money than Rogue One. Put that, let that sink in. So that means from the live-action movies since Disney's taken over, other than Solo, The Rise of Skywalker is going to be the lowest grossing movie domestically of all those movies. So, yeah, it's time for a change, and after a while, it's like you just got to cut. Sometimes we all know you have to make it, even if you don't necessarily think it's all person A's fault. Sometimes you have to make a change just because it makes people happy because things aren't going well, things look bad, and at least it looks like you're not being tone deaf. That you have to make some changes. And this is kind of ridiculous. It's like, what more does she need to do?
So we all know Star Wars wise, when this sort of news comes out, I don't have a whole lot to say, but I do have 2 points. Point A is I don't keep up with all of this, but from what you tell me, from what I hear from Ryan, other sources across the net, fandom in general, if the word got out that Kathleen Kennedy didn't like this script, it probably means it was a fantastic script.
especially if the Colin Trevorrow script, no matter what version of that, the Duel of the Fates script, if that is 100% legitimate that Colin Trevorrow wrote that script, while there's some issue, and I like to read the script as opposed to hearing, people break it down, but it certainly sounds at least like it's a Star Wars movie, and at least he made an effort to roll with what they gave him, and yet, I don't know.
And my point B is, and you mentioned a lot of the things in reference to explaining why she would be incompetent at the job she's got in front of her. I would add another one here, and although I don't know too much about film and stuff, I do listen to a lot of Michael Rosenbaum's Inside of You podcast and Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert podcast, and you get a lot of conversation behind the scenes about, how the actual process of filmmaking, both in TV and movies, works. Why is this woman sending a crew out to get ready to start filming something she hasn't yet approved the script for? That's not how you do business in Hollywood.
That's why, I think there's got to be more to this, because first of all, I mean, it doesn't make, we all know there's hyperbole and people get excited or whatever, but it doesn't make any sense for her to come out of D23 and announce that all those scripts are done, just to turn around and not like 6 months later or 7 months later, it's like, it's when you're about to go into production, it's like, or getting close. You're definitely in pre-production and you're about to move into production. That, these scripts just aren't good enough. It's like, well, that problem should have been that problem should have been recognized months ago. Obviously not to give her a real pass, but we understand the cluster, that appears the Rise of Skywalker was heading into the final month before its release, since I think even J.J. Abrams himself confirmed that it wasn't until like somewhere towards the end or mid-November that he said the movie was actually done. So this movie in the shape that we saw it was, and of course depending on what rumors you hear, because there were a lot of rumors about this, there's a lot of spin some people categorize it as from the Abrams camp trying to distance themselves from this movie a little bit, that even the theatrical release of the movie, Abrams was a little surprised because he still thought it was being released like at that 2 hour and 30-minute cut, and I think it turned out to be like something like a 217, 218 or 220 cut or something. That there was one of the stories, whether it's true or not, was that he was surprised because he thought the movie was going to be, as he was led to believe, it was this cut, and then there was still like another 13, 15 minutes shaved off it. But the idea that, so we know, everything we heard about Rise of Skywalker indicated that this move, that they were like running around with chickens with their heads cut off, trying to get whatever version of this movie that they ended up deciding on to release. So that could realistically be taking away some of Kathleen Kennedy's focus. But still, you shouldn't be making that announcement. I know you're trying to get the fan base excited again. You still could have announced that Ewan McGregor was coming back, and you still could have announced that that this show was going to start. The plan was this show to start filming in 2020 or something. But you didn't have to come out and add that whole thing about the scripts being done and they're great and blah 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 blah. I mean that's stupid. So I don't. You have to suspect it. I mean, there's got to be something else behind it. I mean, and we could speculate endlessly whether maybe it was too similar to Mandalorian, so it didn't even have to do with the fact that it wasn't good, but it was too repetitive. I was watching stuff today about how they're really trying to find a way basically to like maybe work. Besides introducing new characters, but bring some of those other older characters that we know into it, including trying to find a way to work, Vader into it somehow. Obviously, would have to be two different plot points, two different plot threads, since they can't interact. But there's lots of things, and maybe it's just that, and who knows? Maybe part of it is that maybe you can keep your fingers crossed. Maybe like Iger and Horn are finally getting fed up with her and really don't want her to be involved or have her hands in any other Star Wars project, and her time is going to be coming to an end soon. No matter how it's announced, whether she resigns or whatever, that they're going to be doing what they need to do to get her out, so she does not have her hands involved in anything else. Who knows? It's just really it's really hard work to be this bad at anything, and to take something that was so beloved, and then even after Force Awakens, which was not overly original, but people liked it, and it was extremely popular, made a shit ton of money. That to go from there, and even Rogue One, which did better than most people thought, even if yes, part of that probably was riding on the positive coattails of Force Awakens. That just, if you really look at it, just from The Last Jedi, which was 2017 till now, in the course of barely over 2 years of this franchise being where it is now. I mean, she could have been a Manchurian Candidate in charge of Lucasfilm, and you would be hard pressed to have done a better sabotage job than she's done, and long-lasting damage to the brand. It's like she may be good at producing actually being a real hands-on producer when it comes to making actual movies. But as a head of a studio, running a company like Lucasfilm, no, that's not the job for her. I don't know what, it just boggles my mind that you can just keep going on being this bad at your job and having the fan base just be so. I mean, this movie compared to what Force Awakens did in the course of like 4 years of Rise of Skywalker, they lost like half the amount, half their financials there. They lost more than half the money that they made from Force Awakens to Rise of Skywalker. That's a lot of money, going from like over $2 billion down to to really pushing to squeak past $1 billion in the big picture, and having this movie a little over a month after its release be an afterthought for people. That's an issue. I mean, is it going to make money? I don't know. I just think that they need to do something because, I thought Rise of Skywalker was enjoyable. You thought Rise of Skywalker, for what it was good. I think Ryan did, Jim did. Most people, not in the expectation, lower the expectations, the greater the chance you're going to enjoy it. But flaws and all, I think Abrams did what he could do, handed a crappy baton. But still, that movie did not do what it should have done. And Mandalorian was popular. They had a chance to build some momentum here, potentially. And now this Obi-Wan thing just shoots a torpedo back into the hull. And it's like, Jesus, it's like the gang that couldn't shoot straight. It's like, what does it take to have a project that is not marred by creative differences or delays or massive rewrites or reshoots? It's like, why can't they and at the end of the day, it falls on her because she's the head of the studio and she's the one who's hiring these people. So she has to be held accountable. Or in the real world, people would be held accountable, you'd like to think, but so far, not so much.
Yeah. Well, all right. Before we get into this, because I didn't want to stick it at the end, because it would feel so much like just a dog tag at the end of it. But I I did want to mention this, and Mark and I talked about this before we started recording. So, as you guys know, and we'll mention it plenty of times throughout the year, but this year is Green Lantern's 80th anniversary. The anniversary of All American Comics number 16, the first appearance of Alan Scott Green Lantern, created by Martin Nodell. As you can imagine, there's not a whole lot of Golden Age merchandise out there. Specific characters, you're going to find some things here and there, but specific to Alan Scott, there's not a lot of stuff currently in print for you to hunt down and find. So that leaves you with something more obscure, something more out of the norm, something more localized to small press and other artists. Cue Luke Dobb. If you recognize that name, it's very likely because you listen to any number of podcasts related to or associated with or friends of the Fire and Water Podcast Network. Luke does a lot of stuff, lots of graphic design, lots of songs, all sorts of things. He's a man of many talents, but he does these things, and maybe you've seen them, called superhero profiles. And what a superhero profile is it is a side view of a character from the waist up, and it's got like a couple of things symbolizing said character around it. If you go to daabcreative.threadless.com, and that's DAAB creative.threadless.com, you're going to see all of the various things that he's done. Now, not every one of his works is on here. I'm scrolling through, and I'm not seeing his Swamp Thing superhero profile, so on and so forth. So I'm not sure what's on there, what's not, what and why. But one thing that is on there is Alan Scott, the Green Lantern DC superhero profile. Now, Threadless comes into this is because they will allow creators such as Luke to post their works on there, and you can get the artist's rendering of whatever they've created printed onto various materials. You can get T-shirts in kids, women's, men's. You can get prints. You can get blankets, canvases, pillows, buttons, skateboards, phone cases, notebooks, beach towels, so on and so forth, whatever you want, with this artist printing on it. Well, I purchased something the other day because his Green Lantern Alan Scott one, I was like, all right, I need something Alan Scott, and I want to support a friend. So I looked it up, I purchased it, and I got a phone case for my iPhone XR, and it is Alan Scott. And Alan Scott, he's, like I said, profile view, waist up. Around him, you have his lantern. You have a symbol of a star, which is the star heart. And then down in the corner, you have GBC, the logo for Gotham Broadcasting Company, which is a nice little nod to Alan's day job. And then I also got, this is neither here nor there, but he also did a Ragman superhero profile a while back that I didn't commission from him, but I had a high influence on the person who did commission it from him, and I got that superhero profile printed on a metal tumbler, and that's me tapping it right now. That's actual metal.
That's Chad tumbling.
Yeah, it's actually a metal tumbler. It's not like a crappy plastic one. So I have that. I'm going to point you guys to daabcreative.threadless.com because you guys are going to be very, very, very hard pressed to not pay aftermarket prices for something that has Alan Scott related stuff on it in terms of wearables or accessories. So I highly recommend, if you've got $20 to spare plus shipping, head over to daabcreative.threadless.com and get the Alan Scott Green Lantern DC superhero profiles thing printed on something of your choice. I say $20 because that's the price of a regular T-shirt. So if you are looking for something, I highly recommend it. You're supporting a small artist, and you're getting something to help celebrate, something unique to help celebrate the 80th anniversary of Green Lantern. You can do whatever you want. I'm recommending Alan Scott because of the 80th, but I mean, he's got a Firestorm profile. He's got Black Canary. There's a ton of stuff on here.
Hal.
So
He's got Hal.
yeah, he's got Hal. It's not on the Threadless store, and I'll have to ask him why. But if you go over to his other, like maybe his personal blog, personal website, his Patreon, you will find a Jon Stewart superhero profile, and I believe you can order prints from him from his shop in that way. But it's Dob Creative. He's usually Dob Creative on Twitter and stuff like that. But like I said, Dob Creative, DAAB creative.threadless.com. He didn't pay us to say that. He didn't ask me to say that. He didn't say anything to me after I purchased it. But like I said, I think it's a really cool looking design of Alan. And if you're going to have something Alan this year, and I wouldn't bet on DC putting out merch other than maybe like a collected trade paperback or something. So I highly recommend we go for supporting small artists.
It'll be the Simon Bass collection to celebrate the 80th anniversary of Green Lantern. All Bass all the time.
But Mark just saw this image for the first time a few moments ago. What do you think, man?
It's pretty cool. I like it. I like the Hal one better, but I'm prone to like the Hal one better.
For sure.
Plus the write-up for the Hal one's even better because it shows Hal making a construct fist, and in the upper right-hand corner you got 3 Guardians. So the description on the design says, "Punch Guardians in the face while defending Sector 2814 in this graphic tee." Who would want to punch Guardians in the face? We know how they are.
It's great because I think the Ragman one, I think it says something like, "Now you can wear your own suit of souls." So it's like, you're taking it all the way with the wearable thing. But no, like he's got, talking like, obviously you've got your Superman, your Batman, your Flash, Green Arrow, all that stuff. But he's got a Dr. Fate superhero profile, Elongated Man, Booster Gold. He's got so many different ones, and they're all very, very well done. dobcreative.threadless.com. Not sponsored. All right. So we're here to talk Far Sector number 3. Came out very recently. I'm going to do a very surface level recap of this. There's actually not a whole lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still enjoyed the book. I thought it was a good issue. The art, again, stands out for me here. But frankly speaking, not a lot actually happens in this issue.
This is true.
So I'm going to go ahead and just be very brief here. So we do get a recap page at the front of things to sort of set the scene and remind us of where we're at and what the situation is. So that's cool. I like the way it's done here. It's almost like a report being sent back to OA. So I think that's a cool idea. Would not mind in the slightest if other Green Lantern books use this sort of method. So that'd be cool. But anyways,
that strengthens the ties to OA, or at least gives the impression of strengthening the ties to OA. Based on the things that we talked about after issue 2 about some of the questions that are potentially being raised about her relationship.
All right, so we pick up where we left off. Lantern Joe is with Counselor Marth. And Marth is on the drug that switch off, which allows him to feel emotions intensely. He suggests a game of essentially Civil War, which looks kind of like a 5-player chess sort of a setup. Don't ask me. I've actually never played chess. Well, always wanted to because I thought it'd be fun, like mental exercise, but never actually learned how to play. But anyways, in this beginning of this game, we're sort of explaining a bit more about the history of these trilogy of citizens, their planets, and how they all came to be on these platforms. Towards the end, he says, "We worked so hard to remember what we lost. But memory is meaningless, worse than meaningless, without emotion." And she says, "How?" And he says, "Now we have no regret. Without that, how can we learn from our suffering? Ah, Joe, I had hoped you of all people." Never mind. So then he turns off, switch off, and shuts it down. He says your objection has been noted. Says we should play. She goes home. Is this a being or is this an android? I got the feeling it was an actual being, but maybe just like had a permanent hookup to some tech. Who knows?
Which one? Where? Which part?
Ken has this girl.
I think it's a being. If I remember correctly from last issue, I think
Okay.
so. The one she
Well,
she shacked up with.
no. This isn't someone she's shacking up with because we get introduced to her for the first time because the narrative box on the next page says belated intro. This is the first time we've been introduced to this character.
Oh, I thought that's the person. Oh, maybe I was just thrown off because the whole conversation is about how she thinks that Joe thinks that this character thinks that basically she's sleeping her way through everybody.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what threw me off. That's where I thought this character. Where does it say the belated intro?
When Ken has is hopping over the couch and showing the final chapter.
Uh,
2 pages after she leaves Lantern Marth or Counselor Marth.
yeah, I've found it now.
Belated intro. This is Icon has Earth Stuff 01, my assistant.
Unless it's like a recap thing, why they're saying it that way to. I don't know. But I'd have to go back and. I'm assuming you're right, but I would have to go back and look at the issues. But I thought that was. I thought that. But you're right. Cause didn't she have like a tail? The chick that she hooked up with, didn't she have a weird tail or something?
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
All right, but anyways, she is at her home / apartment. Lantern Joe is. She's kind of recapping her day with her assistant, who is Icon has Earth Stuff 01. I mostly abbreviated her name to ICHES or Can Has. It's ridiculous no matter how you say it. She gives her a book, a final chapter of something. She also notes that she has an email reply from her father that it's on its way. You get the idea that it's going to take quite a long time for data to be transmitted from Earth to where Lantern Joe is. The fact that she's getting a final chapter, I'm assuming that means that this assistant is downloading this data piecemeal for her. And once she has something completed, she then hands it off. Same, I'm assuming, with the email. She wakes up early in the morning to a call on the other side of one of the platforms. Basically, a protest has come out and they need her there, and she's contacting Citizen to be on her way and just be like, hey, let people know, like, I'm here to supplement local law enforcement, not replace it, and not do the grunt work that they don't want to. And then she shows up on the scene, and bam, there is a whole mess of light and color or explosions or whatever, lots of people, stuff just in this place, and she gets contacted by the local peace authorities. They let her know what's, hey, it's just a big protest. We need to shut this down. The peace accountant walks over and says, I'm really hoping we don't have to kill these people. And she's like, kill them. He says, the council hasn't approved this protest. We've given the order to disperse, and they haven't. If we don't stop this, the law is meaningless. He says, then make them disperse, Lantern. They've made their point. Now we need to keep the peace. So she goes down there, puts up a barrier between the two approaching crowds, the protesters and the people who are obviously protesting the protest, because this happens a lot, just in societies in general. And she goes down to kind of get the 411 on what's happening and why. They initially push back, nobody asked you to interfere. She said, wrong, the peace division did. Now tell me why you're protesting. One side is saying, we're protesting them. Emotions are what caused the burnover. The emotion exploit saved us from wiping ourselves out for good. And these selfish deluded addicts risk everything we've gained. So essentially, they are protesting the switch off and in people who use it. And the people who use it are saying switch off isn't addictive and emotions aren't evil. Everyone knows aliens call the burnover. And to recap, the burnover is the event that caused these individual species' home planets to be destroyed before they all came over to the platforms. And he says, that is who we were for thousands of years. We did just fine with our emotions. Our worlds were glorious. Then aliens manipulated us into nearly destroying ourselves. Now we just want the freedom to be glorious again with switch off. And then he gets interrupted. They all start arguing with each other. Lantern Joe tells them to write up some demands. I'll guarantee that the council gets them. They're criminals. Have you no respect for law and order? And then Lantern Joe has a flashback or something. We don't get much context for it other than for a button for Nixon and Agnew in 1968 for Law and Order, as well as Manzanar War Relocation Center. I didn't have the memory to look that up because I was like, when I first read it, I was like, I'm gonna look that up, and then I totally forgot. And we also see, it looks like Lantern Joe in a police officer's uniform watching a citizen get beaten up. Now this is on Earth. And one of the people protesting, the people who are protesting or are protesting for switch off, says, shouldn't the council hear both sides? So like, no, they've heard and have been abiding by your side of the argument forever. Let me get their side of the story up there for 10 seconds. Then her ring detects a weapon, an energy weapon powering up. It is the peace officers saying time's up. More protesters are showing up. We tried the emotional approach. Now I need to stop this. And she's rushing through the crowd telling him, contact Counselor Marth. Contact him. Lantern, the order to fire came from Counselor Marth. And all of these peace officers open up fire on the crowds, killing quite a few of them or injuring them. We don't actually see any bodies drop. We do see, energy weapons going through them, and we did get the word kill or earlier, so I'm assuming quite a few people are dying here. But she says, no, not today, not again. She powers up, crackles with energy. Oh, you emotionless motherfuckers, you have officially pissed me off. And to be continued.
So
what do you think?
So you have the physical copy, right, of this now?
No.
Oh, you eventually were able to only because in your digital, do they still push her trilogy?
When you say push her trilogy, what do you mean?
The books. Because I have a splash page pushing Jemison's. I think it's a trilogy. Either way, the Broken Earth trilogy. They're advertising her books.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Unless I just accidentally passed it up.
So, just curious. I thought this issue was pretty good. I mean, I agree with you. You summed it up well. That this does not move the story along all that much. I mean, it's kind of like at a slower pace. As far as from an information dump perspective, you don't get a lot more. It makes obviously you wonder what Martha was alluding to when like you of all people and the point of the games that he's the head games that he's trying to play with her. What the real point of that is. Manzanar, by the way, is one of the main Japanese internment camps during World War II.
That makes sense.
So I like the art. I did like the way she tried to handle the protests, especially when she puts the green construct bubbles around all of around each side, and you see the little peace symbols connected to them. I thought that was a nice touch. From an art perspective, like I mentioned to you, which probably was present in issues 1 and 2, but I never really noticed it. I never really paid it. If I didn't notice before that that they draw Joe using the magic word, so thick that she's definitely like Janelle Monáe from the waist up, but more like Ashanti or someone built like that from the waist down. That she's definitely wider in the hips and the thighs, which there's nothing wrong with, by the way. It's not a criticism. It's just something I didn't notice before. I noticed it actually on the cover of this. That's where I first noticed it. That so they do. So I kind of thought that was pretty cool actually that even from a body type perspective that she's not drawn as your typical superhero female. You know that she's not busting out on the top, and she's not super thin in the waist or the hips or anything like that. So that's somewhat. So obviously, I'm sure that was a creative choice all along, based on who the design of this character, what they wanted her to be. I thought it was good. I'm still intrigued to want to see how this stuff keeps playing out, but as we move closer to halfway through, we're only like about a fourth of the way through right now. That I wish we would get. Hope by the time we get to around halfway through, I'd like to have a little more context or a little more understanding about at least what the deal is with her ring, but they have time to go slow because again, this is a 12-issue storyline. So.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying it. It's sort of irritating that it's taking this long to kind of get to the point. But we are setting up this world. We are setting up some nuance. We are getting some characterization in the meantime. So that's all cool. I appreciate all that. The art remains very consistent in this. This is going to be one hell of a beautiful trade paperback. I can tell you that for sure. So I'm really looking forward to that. I just think it's cool. I think the colorist is doing a really good job, because you get the, when her and Counselor Marth at the beginning are playing, this Civil War board game thing, or about to, the lighting is this violet color, but like the pieces have their own individual colors of red and blue and black and all of this other stuff. So the lighting, as it reflects off of Marth and Lantern Joe, is largely this violet, sapphire sort of color, but there are hints of other colors there. So it's really cool the way they play with the lighting in here. The way the colorist does this on their end. Like when his switch off goes bad, it's red. And you can see the red light sort of reflecting off of his fingertips, that sort of a thing. When Lantern Joe, anytime she lights up with her ring, the way the light reflects off of things, she's in front of the map reading off the protest, and where people are located and everything, and she right on the panel where she says, "So they tell me I'm just one person," all this, and she's holding up her ring, and it's in front of her body. She's in front of that red lit map, so she's got some red light on her, but her fist is casting a shadow on her chest because her fist is between the light source and her. So that's really cool looking, the way they're playing with lighting and all of this, and very cognizant of it. There have been points in the story where I've been reading things and been wishing her green was more green, but seeing what they're doing, playing with lighting and the way they're handling things in this, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's all really cool, really well done. Art, colors, inks, letters are all top notch for me. The only thing I wish we got a bit more of is the story, but I think I'll save final judgments until the whole first arc is out.
That is true. And not to be funny, I mean, as far as getting regular green, full on Green Lantern books, even though this is obviously this. It could be an asterisk to how much of a Green Lantern book this is when it all is said and done. But based on where we are right now, beggars can't be choosers. That at least we have 2 Green Lantern books even ha 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 with the Black Stars for one more issue before we go back to a Green Lantern book called Green Lantern. But still, at least we have 2 monthly Green Lantern books right now, so I guess that's I will happily accept that at the moment.
All right. Anything else about this issue we wanted to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I thought I continue to like this book more than I thought I was going to. So hopefully that will carry forth as we make our way towards the halfway point.
I'm not really sure where this is going, but at the same time, there was a one notable thing I did want to bring up. Let me scroll to that page here. When she is talking to Ken Has, she says, you've got good taste, and it's not like you've been checking out the Ketopoli. That would be gossip-worthy. And then in smaller text, like almost under her breath, although I hear things about Counselor Averupt too. So maybe that's somebody we need to be on the lookout for moving forward. Obviously, Marth is of a concern, given that he's on switch off and that he invited her over to his place for, what precisely we still don't know. And he's also the one who ordered the peace officers to fire on the crowd. So obviously he's a person of interest to pay attention to in all of this. But it sounds like this other counselor might be someone we might need to be, keeping an eye on whenever they pop up.
That is true. They certainly are opening. They're trying to do the usual suspect thing, like spread the wealth around as far as this got to keep an eye on that person. Well, you got to keep an eye on that person. This person looks like they're trouble, but maybe it's the person who doesn't look like they're trouble that you have to worry about. They're just setting the stage for us to be more intrigued about her different relationships with different people. So. Yeah, well, we will see.
And I also tweeted N.K. Jemisin about Can Has to ask the question if she was a robot AI of some kind or a living being. To be fair, I tweeted her as we were recording this, so still no reply. But if/when we get that back, depending on if the answer is of great importance or whatever, whatever. If we hear back, I'll let you know on the next episode we record after hearing back. But I asked.
Extra brownie points for her if she begins the email, Chad, you ignorant slut. But I don't think she will. But if you're listening, please begin the email reply that way.
All right. All right. Well, speaking of reaching out to us, how can people do that?
Why are you asking me, Chad? Stop pressuring me. It's like LanternCast@gmail.com. The website is LanternCast.com. You can follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, #GLCast. Locate us on either of those. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. So please leave us a positive review wherever you listen to us. And last but not least, if you'd like to leave us a voicemail, 708-LANTERN. And let us know what you think.
That's right. The call continues, folks. So if you didn't listen to the last episode, we are now on Spotify. So if you have the ability to, please listen to us on Spotify from now on. If you're able to, just because we actually have access to tracking information over there, which helps us out. If you want the full explanation, go listen to the previous episode. So I'm not wasting up too much recording space here. But, if you have the ability, please listen to us over on Spotify. And just another reminder, I'm going to do this not every episode, but every now and then between now and the mid-March. I am going to Emerald City Comic-Con. So if you guys out there are going or thinking about going, you should go and let me know if you're going. I'd like to know. You're going to be at Emerald City Comic-Con.
Chad wants to stalk you. No, it's like
I don't know if we'll be able to plan like a dinner meetup or anything, but I could definitely come, meet you guys in Artist Alley or something. We can hang out for 10, 15 minutes or whatever, or go to a panel or something. I'd like to meet some people if I can. This is not only like a convention for me. It's actually one of my first actual vacations in a while in terms of me taking off, using vacation hours, going out of town for something other than visiting family. This is for me. So I'm trying to have as much fun and do as much things and interesting stuff as I can. And I'd love to hang out with some listeners or some fellow Green Lantern fans in the least while I'm out there. So if you're able to do that, do so. Oh, and one other thing, cosplayers. I wanted to mention this to you guys. If you are a cosplayer or if you know of a cosplayer who would like to do this, we are, I don't want to say hosting, but I don't want to say sponsoring because it's not like we're putting money behind it, but it's an idea we have that we're going to be spreading the word on for some official Green Lantern 80th cosplay days. Now, the idea here is you don't have to dress up as Alan Scott, but anything, if you or someone you know cosplays Lantern-related characters and is going to be at a Comic-Con on a specific date, on 3 specific dates, or their local comic shop is having an event, or there's something somewhere that you can be cosplaying Lantern characters at, we're recommending that you do that on 3 specific days. And those 3 days are Sunday, March 15th of this year, Sunday, July 26th, and Sunday, October 11th. Those are the Sundays of Emerald City Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, and New York City Comic-Con, respectively. So that's just the Sunday of the 3 major conventions that happened during spring, summer, and fall in the year 2020. Yeah, you don't have to be at the con, but take photos, share those cosplays with us of Lantern-related characters on those days. Use the hashtag GL80th. Yeah, just share them far and wide, and we'll do the same. We just want to, however we can, get the word of Green Lantern's 80th anniversary out there. We don't have the ability to do what we can or what we want with this license, but we can help just spread as much notoriety and in information as we can out there. And cosplay is one way to do it. So if you're into that, the March 15th, July 26th, and October 11th are the official cosplay days for GL 80th. So let us know.
Indeed. Make Chet happy, please. Make him happy.
If you guys out there have ideas of ways to celebrate Green Lantern 80th that don't involve us investing every penny we have that should go to things like bills, please let us know as well. So the cosplay day idea is something one of our listeners or fans over on Twitter had mentioned, and I just sort of took it and ran with it because it was a good idea. So yeah, let's whatever you guys think would work well to help get the news out there. All right?
Sounds good.
Talk to you later, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.